Hey,
Hey, man. What's
hey,
going on?
well, actually, what's going on is I got the links out right when I clicked live because I just found out I like literally just found out 3 seconds ago that if I make the video scheduled, I can get the link before it goes live. And before I didn't know that, so I would always have to get the link after it went live. I had to go log out of my YouTube, go into my podcast account, get the link from there because I couldn't find it on my. It's fucking stupid. Anyways, all right, guys. Let's see. Is there anyone in here yet? Let's see. I think this is a public stream here. Let's make sure everything is live though. All right, guys. Okay, we are live. Cool. Hey, we got some people in the chat already. I guess it's just loading on our side here. Usually it pops up and I can pull up some of the comments here. But guys, listen, if you're watching this and it's not live, if you're watching this, it's already recorded. You don't have to skip forward a minute like always. So that's a big dub. We appreciate all you guys being in here. We have a few people in. If you guys haven't already, smash that like button for me. And we'll get started like now because I guess we don't have to wait. Like usually we have to wait, but we're just gonna get started. Appreciate all you guys being in here. Guys, welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I'm Cage, your guide. I'll be replacing Little West Side Dread for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say first, thanks for listening or viewing on whatever platform you're on. Then already, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. We have an incredibly special guest. We have Mr. Alex LALOS, founder of MISFITS NFT. You guys remember I covered them a couple weeks ago maybe, and I was super excited because he reminded me of the Coin Game CEO, Timothy, just with the passion, the way you spoke, I could tell what you wanted to get from the project, like what your vision was, and I didn't see that very often. So I reached out, said, yo, let's do a pod, and that's what we're doing here. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks, man. And thank you for giving us this space, especially when we were looking for people to, and it's interesting, when you're building a project, you need to look at the marketing aspects and who it is that you will want to approach to actually sort of sell the vision of your project and also talk about it. And I actually spoke to my my business partner Tom, and I was like, dude, I've been following this guy Cade for ages, man, like for 6 months. Love his work, but he's honest and he's just no bullshit. And so I said to him, we need to get him to review our stuff because it's that honesty. And he's like, oh, he was like, what if he doesn't like it? And I'm like, man, it doesn't matter. I want brutally honest, because for us as project founders, if we get a brutally honest review, we will be able to do the iterations needed to be able to change things, make them better, and actually improve that experience for our holders. So that's for us, delivering that value back to the holders is what's really important to us as founders, man. But just really glad to be here, glad to be live. This is actually my first live that I've ever done.
Oh boy.
yeah. So it's like, this is a bit different. You know, I'm always used to, like, I do a lot of spaces, Twitter spaces. So I guess that's sort of like being live, but it's more like you're on a phone call when you do the Twitter spaces. You just, sort of just shelling your project, or you're talking about the project. You're just meeting new people, which is a great place to start for any project founder. If you're trying to build your brand, in the Twitter spaces, man, because you meet some incredible people. It's
Twitter spaces is lit. I don't do as many Twitter spaces because I feel more comfortable on camera than off camera. Like when I'm on Twitter spaces, my voice locks up. I can't speak. I run out of breath in the middle of a sentence. I just can't talk for some reason. When I have a camera on, like when I do any kind of console call, my video camera's on. Usually theirs isn't most of the time. And like I'm on camera because I feel more comfortable being able to see myself for some reason. But look, you were killing it. You did the video stuff. Like when I first reviewed the project, I went and you came at me saying, we want the review. We want the brilliant honest review. And so, not a lot of projects come in with that angle. And so that was pretty cool to see that. And then, right off the bat, your pinned tweet knocked out of the park with a full video, a full founders video. And you were saying, part of that was inspired because that's what fucking works. And, you're focusing on the brand. I heard you guys talking on the AMA. If you guys haven't listened to the AMAs or any of their content, they've got YouTube stuff. They got Twitter AMAs. They've got all the content. And they were like, look, our Twitters, I forget what number you guys are at on Twitter, but they're like, we could have 10x this many if we were doing stupid promotions and whitelists and all these growth campaigns. You could have 10x your following, but it would be basically fake, So.
Yep. And that's exactly right. Like we've been approached, and people don't necessarily know this about the space, but we've been approached by YouTubers that you wouldn't think that in this space that have offered us oh, hey man, we can do a review, $2,500. Like,
Jesus Christ. Oh my
yeah,
God.
so some people charge some incredible amounts, and we won't go into names and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But you think a lot of it is, and you don't get that brutally honest thing where they say, "Hey, this is a paid review," and we say that like we paid Kate because we know he's going to give us a brutally honest review. I don't want to pay someone and say, "Hey, well, I can say it's a great project. I can just shill it for you, and that's going to be
Yeah.
great." How unauthentic is that when we're trying to deliver a project, especially when you actually have a vision of a project that you want to deliver for the longevity, and that's what we're doing when we create the brand of the Misfits. We're building a project that we want that longevity. To be able to see this in 5 years time, 10 years time. Like you look at some of the stories, like, especially around manga, like Neon Genesis, Evangelion, Naruto, Dragon Ball Z. People still talk about this stuff today, man.
Mm-hmm.
People still have the posters. People still have
Yep.
the figures, everything about that. So it's like, imagine creating a brand of characters like exactly the same as those brands, but from an NFT project
Yeah.
that can then expand out into a more global audience, because our product doesn't end with NFT people. It expands out to a more global audience, and people that might not even fuck with NFTs go, oh, you know what? I don't really like the NFT aspect, but I love the story. I love the brand. I love the comic. I want to see where this goes. And then they become part of the community as well. So
yeah, and you guys are killing it with, I mean, when you said it in the AMA, you were like, yeah, we closed off the Discord so that I can actually know these people a little bit and actually have a conversation. And I popped in the Discord for a few minutes right before we went live, and you're literally having full ass conversations with individual people. And that's something I try and do. I'm in my Discord. Like if you're in my Discord, I'm in there all the time. If you want to talk to me directly, you 100% can. Yeah. Brian's now said hype man, or what did you say? He said, "Hi man, here, what's up, Alex and Kate? What's up? What's up?" I don't know what. Oh, it says Magami. What is that?
That's Misfits all gonna make it.
Oh shit! Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. That is awesome. That is awesome.
We got our little lingo. So this is what I love seeing, man.
Yeah.
Our community just is an actual community.
Yep.
And I've said this and I've touched on it in our AMAs, is so important to build those foundations of community, because I've seen, I use the analogy, we can go 0 to 10,000 overnight, but what we do is we lose that essence. We lose the connection to the audience, and the audience don't know who we are. So then what happens, you get this flipping mentality in mind, and then people just like flip. What, when Lambo, when's the moon going to come? What's going to happen? And for us, that doesn't hold longevity for us. That doesn't hold the brand. That doesn't solidify our position to, move on into the next stages. Like, and I believe you and Tom, or it was you and Greg Norman that sort of, touched on it, is it's like, it's fucked up in the sense that once the mint happens, people are expecting a AAA title in like 3 weeks. Hey man,
3 hours, 3 hours, dude.
What's my game? I just want my game. It's just like, oh my God, do you know how much time and effort there has to go in to actually build these things?
Exactly.
And that's where, when we're creating our project, we come at it from a business perspective. Like I've got, I'm in insurance, finance, Tom's in treasury. So I've built products before, especially in the finance space, and help contribute to building those products in the corporate setting. And the amount of time and effort that goes into generating those products, it doesn't happen overnight. These things take months and years to do. We don't necessarily need years to start creating our product itself, but we want to look at it and tackle it from that business perspective, because that instills the confidence back into our holders that, hey, these guys know what they're doing. Like they know how to build a business. They know how to connect the right people and put the dots together. Because you and I were having a chat, and from Tom's review this morning, he gave some great feedback that we've taken on board that we want to start iterating, especially on the website. But we had to look at certain things about where our growth is coming from and where the customer journey actually comes from. And do you know most of our growth comes from like Twitter and YouTube? So our website doesn't really generate any.
Right.
There's not a lot of people that jump on the website and read a lot of the content that's actually going on our website. So yeah, it's. We'll just lose my position.
We're talking about, it was what Tom was saying for advice he gave you on the video, and he talks about the website, and you were talking about how you just didn't have as much traffic on the website versus YouTube and Twitter.
Yeah. So that's why probably there's a few things that we do need to update and upgrade on our website. But yeah, so that content is great feedback for us to be able to go in and make those changes that is possible. So yeah, there's a lot involved in the experience that we want to give back to our actual to our community members, and to have those people that solid foundation there at the very beginning, to be able to build the brand of the Misfits is so important to us, man. Is like it's huge. Like there's so many things that run through my mind. But when we looked at it, we created 3 main things that we wanted to concentrate on, and I wrote them down so I never forget them, because when you're on live and you got this pressure, like it's like oh god, I gotta remember all these things. But yeah, it's community, creativity, and branding.
Hell yeah.
So let us start with the community. That's what we were talking about in terms of that engagement and locking that Discord. Actually, in your video, you sort of asked us, why is it that we lock our Discord? So that's for us to build that community and allow people to slowly drip through into the Discord, so we can get to know them. Like you said earlier, I'm sitting there having real conversations with these people. I want them to get to know me. I want them to believe in the founders, the people that are actually trying to deliver this thing. And I want them to say, hey man, I want to invest into this project, because I'm essentially asking you to part with money to invest in the vision of what the actual Misfits is. And then the next part is creating the creativity aspect of things. So we want to actually involve our members in the creative process of the actual Misfits itself. And so that's why we drive lore and story. And I know you're a big fan of that lore and that story part, because you talk about it a lot. And even with your own projects, you want to develop a whole lore that sort of sits under the NFT itself. So for us, it's very much the same thing. We've got 5 Misfits, and they make up the tale of the Misfit journey. We haven't actually named what the manga or the comic's going to be.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah, no, it's not. And this is where it's exciting, unique opportunity for us to create. And this is the creative aspect.
Yeah.
Our holders are going to become like the editorial department. So they're going to help navigate the story of the actual Misfits itself. And we're going to do this via a DAO structure, voting structure, and things like that. And they will help with naming conventions. So we want to have competitions where we say, let's get the people more involved, more engaged in the project after the mint happens, because that engagement is what keeps people holding on to the project, keeps people engaged. So if we say, hey, let's hold a competition, let's get everyone to pop up their suggestions of what they would like the actual title of this story to be. So everyone can put it in, we can shortlist that, and then we can create a voting system. We can give a prize out to the person that actually wins the name of the actual title. But now, not only has that person contributed to that piece of that creating a part of the Misfits, but like as the brand grows, they'll be that person that says, oh man, I named that. That was me.
Yeah.
That part is me in that story. Like there's a piece of themselves in the actual Misfit story itself. And I find that's the power of NFT. That's the power of, that Web3, that co-creation space. And there's so much more involved in terms of the story itself. So did you ever read Choose Your Own Adventure books back in the day?
I didn't much. I was more of a kick soccer balls to the backyard by myself.
Yeah, man. That's yeah. I've listened to your stories about the football. You did a real awesome video telling your story about going up through the college football ranks and the things that you learned from that, and that actually makes it real personal, like your own brand. And
yeah,
I found that really, that's touching. And then that's when that type of content that comes out that you release, I'm just like, yeah, man, this guy,
hell yeah,
he's real. He's a fucking human, and that's what we want to see, right? Human beings behind all this.
Hell yeah.
And so yeah, going back to the creative elements of it, the Choose Your Own Adventure is a book that you used to read. It was like a 90s book, and you'd get to a certain page and then you'd have options at the end of the page. It would be like, okay.
I have read books like that. I've read, and there's also a Black Mirror episode where you get to choose what happens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I love
that's
those.
what we want. Yeah, well, that's what Misfits to be. So we're going to have forks in the middle of the road of the story, and there's going to be certain voting mechanisms, like where the community will vote in the direction of which way the story is going to go. So it's like, hey, we can either flesh out this character more, or we can have this character choose a different option, and we can have him head over here.
Yeah.
And the community will say, oh, what do we want to see more? If they want to see more character development, then we flesh him out more. Or if they want it to go, in this direction, then we move in that direction. And
well, have you seen Inception, the movie Inception with Leonardo DiCaprio? At the end when the top is still spinning, and at the end it just cuts to black, and you don't know what happens. Everybody wants to know, but now with this thing, we're like, you know what? We can just decide, like, because people make fan fiction, and they're like, okay, here's what happened, and they make their own version of it. And I'm like, this is cool because this is like a place where this is a thing, and so that's gonna be exciting.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So that for us is to be able to, once the mint finishes, we want to be creating that engagement, that experience, to keep the people keep coming back into the actual community. Like it doesn't just end. Like there's so many projects that I've been a part of, and when we were creating this project, we were just sick of that, like that period where the mint ends and you're just like, what now? Like, what's happening in this project? What's the engagement? What's pulling me back? What are they doing from that branding perspective, and how are they keeping that community engaged? And so when we came up with this concept, I was like, yeah, like I had a lot, like in my free time, I do a lot of creative writing. I did that during the lockdowns, especially I'm in Australia. So Melbourne was the most lockdown city in the world, if anyone doesn't know. I was sitting in a room for, months on end, and I was like, all right, well, I need to find an outlet for me to do. I used to love, telling stories, doing creative writing, back in the day. And I was like, I'm going to bring that back. I even did online courses for creative writing.
Let's go.
And I wrote up all these stories, and that's the Misfit story came from one of these stories that I was working on. I'm like, man, like this would make an awesome comic. And then when I jumped into the NFT space, I was like, wow, like we could sort of really apply this story into the Misfit journey. And how can we do it by creating 5 individual different characters that are the Misfits? That's why we've got 5 different NFT characters. We want to give variety, and we want to name those characters, and we want our community to each have their favorite character and which one sort of relates to them from a personality perspective. Like, and we're already seeing that in our Discord now. We got
Mhm.
people that are massive fans of Baz, who's the bear. We got people massive fans of Dex because he's like the punk rock monkey.
Yeah.
Massive fans. We did a poll on Twitter the other day. Izzy became is our most popular female in the Misfits, and that type of interaction is great because people are starting to connect with those characters. And then
Mhm.
when I jump on the spaces and then I give a bit of their backstory of each one of these characters and the personality types they come back. Community members come back and they start to really gel and vibe with those people. It's like, oh, I'm a lot like this character. He
Yep.
reminds me of my childhood. He reminds me of me growing up. So I connect with him, and that psychological connection to the actual characters itself is branding, right?
Mhm.
Like it's what
100%.
connects people to the project. It connects people to the story, and that's what we wanted to create. And then yeah, the last part of it is the branding element. Like they're the three major parts of our vision that
Mhm.
we want to create. And by creating that story, it just opens us up to a whole wider audience, and it allows us to take this brand even further
Mhm.
from where it is now, especially in the NFT space.
Yeah.
And it's an exciting journey. Definitely, definitely. I know Tom and I have been working tirelessly, night and day, and he can tell you, especially when it comes to the art creation, it's like I've already teased it sort of out to our community now. Like what you've seen is like version 1.0 because I'm like, no, I've got to, I can make this even better. So
Mhm.
I'm like, I'm going back to iterate on the art, and
Yeah.
we're going to start this weekend. We're going to trickle out like version 2.0 as well. So
Hell yeah. Nice.
yeah, man.
Yeah, man, that's awesome to hear. Basically, fucking the whole story with the NFTs and the brand and where it all came from. You have the right mindset, and that's the advantage you get also with being able to, well, also being able to take your time and also being in the NFT space, being able to observe the projects in the past. Like one thing I've noticed is the growth and evolution of my brutally honest reviews since when you watch them way back in the day to
Yep.
now. I've gone through little phases where I was very strict and very not negative, but very nitpicky at certain points because we were in a bull market. Every project was the same. No project was doing it right, and I was starting to get frustrated because they're all the same. None of them were doing things right, and I was just like, man, like you guys suck at this. You guys suck at this. And then I went through another phase of like, oh, there's some refreshing projects. So I started to get almost too lenient. And watching Tom also do some reviews too, and getting other people starting to do this kind of content, which is the goal to get the entire NFT space to sort of mature a little bit and stop being this casino. It's
Absolutely.
been amazing, and watching them do it has kind of opened my eyes a little bit. So I'm like, oh, like they did it this way. I like the little thing that Tom did. I like the thing that Nathan's doing on his channel, and it's like helping us all get there. Because in the grand scheme of things, you look at the big top 10 crypto channels. They're all like in the like 100K to 1 million followers count somewhere in that region, and all the NFT channels are somewhere in between the 4 to 100K channel. And so there's only a handful of them that are going to make it. And for me, I feel like I've kind of identified who they're going to be, and I'm like, okay, we're all going to be here at the top, and we're probably going to be friends because we already sort of became friends. It's kind of this tight community still. We're all kind of small relatively, and it's kind of cool watching that and watching the entire NFT space evolve in general. And it's been really refreshing watching the way you've attacked this project, the way you've set up the branding is so different. And so I had a conversation when I had the conversation with Greg Norman with Bungie that
Yeah.
you had mentioned earlier. That was my moment where it was kind of an aha moment where I realized that NFT projects aren't just I don't even know what we would call them before we realized they were just businesses. Like I guess we just thought they were just clubs or something. Like no, these are businesses at the end of the day with that need to have a strong
Projects
brand.
is what we
Yeah, yeah,
call
yeah.
them, and
Exactly, exactly.
yeah, and they're more than projects. And I delved into this in one of our AMAs where I'm like, I don't want to be a project. That's the last
Mhm.
thing. Like a project starts and finishes. I
Yeah.
hand in my project, I get my grade. It sounds like something at school, right? It's not for us. For us, it's about building that long-term brand. It's about returning that value back to our holders themselves, because we want to go down the route of creating this comic being able to sell it, and then being able to give, pay the rewards back to the actual holders themselves. But we like, and Greg Norman touches on this a lot, you can't promise, and this was in your thing, you can't promise that we're going to do that. Like that's why it's not on our roadmap. We actually put it like, we want to look into that as long as it's above board and we can do this in a legal manner. We're not going to get shut down, because I promise you the regulation's coming, and when it does, the projects that are paying out funds, they're going to get chewed up. They're absolutely going to get chewed up, and I think how many of them are actually really going to last. So
it's going to be
come to an end, man. They do.
It's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to see what happens with these projects, and with what was I going to say, with kind of as I've grown in the NFT space, I feel we all go through a little bit of a degen phase. We go through a little bit of a we go through like phases of the NFT space. We also go through growth and maturation of the space, and it's a little bit of a different asset class than crypto or NFT or crypto or stocks or something, because it's so brand new. And so I've gotten to a point where it was the other day when I interviewed the Cryptoon Goons project developer Ryan, and I'd already been looking at that project for a month or something, and so that was kind of what sealed the deal for me, was that interaction with him. And I realized that in this industry, you can help support the people that vibe with you. And the best way you can do that is by participating and buying into their project. And sometimes it's not even expensive, but just showing that support, putting your money where your mouth is, jumping into the community a little bit, just because you guys vibe. And I remember when I bought my Cryptoon after that interview, I had this like not euphoric moment, but this like crazy moment where I was like, oh my God, this is I'm buying NFTs almost like an investment in myself rather than investing in them, because I just bought this project, and now we've had a real connection here, and even deeper connection, because I'm in this guy's project now. We've opened up a relationship for the long term, and that's the answer in this industry, is like organic, nice people connecting and doing the same things. And if you vibe with them, you vibe with them, and it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. And so it's fun, dude. This NFT space is awesome.
Yeah, that's really important that you said that, is connecting with the actual project. Hence why we connect with the actual community people within our Discord itself. Like it is so important to have that connection, to make them want to feel a part of that project, a part of your journey themselves. Like getting out there, and you say it best, is like, that visual representation, setting up the camera, like that is literally, that was the aha moment for us. It was like, I said to Tom, dude, like, let's make a podcast. We made a podcast, no video. And I'm like, it was like not even like a week later, I'm like, fuck, we got to add video, man. We've got to and I was watching one of your videos where you said it, and I was like, oh, we've got to add video to this, man. They've got to see us. We've got to put ourselves in front of this actual brand, and in terms of what we're actually creating, because we need to instill, like you say, instill the confidence into the people, into our brand. And that's why we put ourselves out there at the forefront. So that's why on Twitter, the pinned tweet, it's so important that the first person you see on the page is me, is one of the co-founders of this actual project itself. So that will give people the confidence to say, hey, these guys know, what they're doing, or they're putting themselves out there, and they want to build something for the long term. They've got that longevity in mind, and they've got accountability. The biggest thing that we have now is accountability, because like everyone can find us, anyone can track us down, like legally, if we run off with the bags or something like that. So we've we want people to know that this isn't a quick growth, we're cashing in and getting out type project. This is us trying to build a project with the community and allow people to connect with one another, especially in the NFT space, because it's really hard to find people that aren't here for the flip. And that's what we see a lot in our community, is there's a lot of people that are tired of that. Hey man, I've been in NFT 6 months now. I've been grinding. I'm so sick of grinding. I'm so sick of this. really refreshing to find a project. It's really refreshing to find a Discord where grinding isn't on the forefront of the whole project, where people are having real conversations, where I can ask a question and actually get help from real community people. And when we see that, it's like music to our ears. We're like, yes,
and you guys did it right. Like people, I see people say your name. I see the name Alex pop up sometimes, and I'm like, that's something that is almost unheard of in the NFT space. Very rarely do you see community members even know the name, much less give a shit to say, hey, thank you, Alex, for saying this, or Alex, I fuck with you, or whatever. And I saw the same thing with Crypto Goons. You know, people in the chat while we were live saying, I fucking love Ryan, like Hodge, blah, 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 and say all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, you guys did it right. If people are saying your name in the thing and saying, like, I love for this guy, V Crypto just said, coming for Alex's Pokemon cards. But you guys are doing it right, dude. Like that's how you do it. And if you can cultivate that audience, and it takes time. Same with my NFTs right now. Like my floor is 0.5 Ethereum, and there's not even like technically utility yet on that. It's just the idea of investing in my brand. And every time the floor pops under like 0.5, it gets gobbled up. Like the only time it gets under that is if people are dropping offers and people don't realize that maybe someone who bought a long time ago doesn't know who I am. But when you build that brand the right way, people want to be part of that. And if you can build a community where it's not focused on what's happening next month for that big thing happening, because then I can hold it and then maybe I'll sell it. It's like, no. I'm here in this project and I'm not getting out. I want to be in this project. If I lose my asset, I'm out. I don't want to be out. You know, and if you can build that community, dude, you're good.
That's it. Once you have the mentality where people are, even though I see the price going up and I don't want to sell, that is, you've captured the community that you want, a part of that project, because they're going to believe in it, because they believe that there is more beyond the quick money or the quick flip, because they want to see where it goes. They want to be a part of the experience. They want to be a part of the journey. It's like, it's like anyone collecting anything. It's like Pokemon cards. It's like, why do we hold on to these Pokemon cards? Why does Logan Paul spend $3 million on Pokemon cards? I mean, he could have that $3 million, buy a really nice house, but instead he wants the nostalgia of looking at a Pokemon card because he's connected. He's connected to the brand. He's connected to the nostalgia. It's worked into his DNA. It just becomes a part of him. So it's like, okay, I love it. I want to fuck with it. Let's just continue on, and I will keep investing in things like that. People want outlets as well. I find we've got so many different community members, and this is where the Misfits really lays a massive part, because, you know, we have 5 different characters and they're all different personality types and they all come together, which is like our community, right? Our community is from all different parts of the world. They have different lives. You know, we got people from banking to developers to, you know, just anime enthusiasts and all these different things. And they all come together, and everyone sort of shares within the vision of the Misfits, but they all lend, you know, different personality traits to themselves in it. And this is like putting a bunch of Misfits together, and we're all as a community. And we want to also create an outlet for people that don't feel that they can express themselves in real life. Because when I grew up, anime and liking any of these things was like, that was hidden. No one ever talked about this shit. I was playing Pokemon Red and Blue. You hid your Game Boy, because I mean, you'd get teased if people knew that you were playing Pokemon Red and Blue. Like it wasn't accepted. Like it was like, man, what are you, a baby? What are you, 12? Like, because I was playing it when I was like 15, 16. I'm like,
oh, okay. Oh shit.
This is like one of my favorite games. I even collected the Pokemon cards as well, and that's why I had all these Pokemon cards. I was
let me show you some shit. I don't have my Pokemon cards. They're in my bag somewhere over there, but I have these are this is one of my prized possessions. My little, this thing that goes around from Yu-Gi-Oh. It goes around your neck, and it's got all of my favorite cards in it. I don't even know if they're real. I'm sure some of these are fake, but I've got like all my favorites, like all the good holographic ones, you know, Jinzo, Maneater Bug, like all of these OG cards, like Mirror Force. Oh my God. Like seeing this, and I have the tokens. These tokens are like my favorite from the original, you know, and oh my God, like seeing this makes me, I would never, like this is probably not worth that much money. Like I'm sure half of these are fake, but like this is so valuable to me. And so in the same way, I take all of the notes, like I study everything that I like, and I study why I like it so much, because I get obsessed and I'm like, why is it I'm so obsessed with this little thing? And I just look at it. I have nothing, there's no value here than me just looking at it from time to time. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but it's dope. And so with my NFTs, my access keys, they're just photographs. I'm a photographer, so they're just photography NFTs. But I was like, you know what? If people can really fuck with me for long enough, I want to have something where it's like, okay, if you've been holding for 6 months, it's been delisted for 6 months, that means you're at this point, I can't, like, you're attached. I can't help it. You're going to be attached on some level. So I'm waiting on these to come in. I got 4 of them so far. So I bought these are like full glass, like massive card holder things, and they're like there's like a stand on it.
PSA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and there's like nuts and bolts to get it in there, because I want them to like look at this and be like, holy shit, this is my access card NFT. Like, this is fucking lit. And then at that point, they're like, bro, there's no chance I'm selling this, And I'm trying to do some stuff like that. I want to break into like the trading card. I want to have like I talked about it in my videos all the time. I'm like, yeah, I want to compete with Pokemon. I want to compete up there with the top level things, because I believe my brand and my message is that strong of a brand that I think could rival them in like 20 or 30 years or something.
Yeah, and we share a very similar vision in that sense, especially with the Misfits. Like for us, it's like, okay, we've created a brand of these characters, and they're going to evolve. People are going to attach to these. How can we then create the tangibles? And so there's so much potential for us to create tangible, to link the NFT, the digital space, into the real world itself. So getting the actual manga or the comic itself into volumes. So we'll physically print that. So eventually you can have it on your bookshelf. That'll be a part of it. But then also in creating the merch. You see, I loved collecting anime figures back in the day. Like it was like one of those like hidden things. Like I'm actually not even joking. I've even got like one of them sitting here.
Oh hell yeah!
If anyone knows Evangelion, like this was, the one that did it for me, man. Like it was.
I got some too. I got the whole set, but I'll show you just a couple. I got Yugi, Sid and Purge. I got the whole set for everything. It's what makes it real, dude. If this was if I had a Joyage Kingdom NFT set with avatars and they got one of these in the mail, dude, like that would be the coolest thing ever.
Absolutely, that's it, and that's like
I fucking love this dude.
The Misfits can,
love it.
The Misfits can we can break that link, and we can create figures of them, and like I things that play around in my mind that swell is like, oh, imagine we could actually custom make their own avatars,
right?
Like their own actual, they own that NFT, but imagine like, how could we do it where we can create their actual NFT, recreate the one that they own? And like, I think just bridging that gap would just be absolutely insane. And these are things that you can start to learn to play with as the brand begins to grow. For us, it's that branding perspective is so important, because that's what connects people, and that's what gets them invested into our project, into our space. So 100%. I love that idea of holding that, that physical membership. Like I'm a part of this. It's so much more, because I go into my NFT wallet all the time and just stare at them.
Look at them. You fucking look at them.
You don't. And I'm a collector through and through.
Like
I've collected video games. I've collected whiskey. I've collected Pokemon cards. It's like everything I've done in my life has always been this collective aspect. And so to be able to create a project where it becomes that collective mentality, it's like, I know what gets people excited, because I get excited about those things at the same time. So how are we going to keep creating value back to the community through that collection process, and why do we want them to hold on to it? And so that part of the journey is super important to us, and super important to me. And then that comes back to the whole point of building that real community, people that actually believe in you.
And they can hear that through the way you're talking right now. I'm ready to buy your NFT right this moment. I'm like, where's the mint button? When mint? You know, like you can hear that. You can hear that, and also you can build that, like how we were talking about. You know, getting these characters into people's real life homes. Like that'll probably take a while. I have no idea what goes into making that actually happen. But you can start small. Like Joyage hats. That was easy. You know, cost me $10 to make one. I sell it for 10 or 15 bucks. So you don't even need profit. It gets people to have a hat. Suddenly they wake up every day, put on the hat, Joyage Kingdom, here we go. Joyage Kingdom shirt. Like you can start real small. And like I started with stickers. Like I had little stickers, and then I got, I don't even know, like pens, and then I got hats and then shirts. And I was like, it just builds. And like as you say, hey, look to my community, look what we got. Like we got pens, and they're like, fuck yeah. And then 3 years later, you're like, yo, we got a hat, and they're like, oh my god, it's becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. And then one day you're like, okay, guys,
you got face masks that feel like silk panties.
Oh my god, dude, it really does. It really does.
So exactly, that's and the great thing, my business partner Tom, he's done e-commerce as well. So we've actually got links to places in China, that manufacturers and stuff that can help create merchandise. For me, it'll be like so important in the way that we create that merchandise. We just want the community to be on board with it. We want them to help pick which illustrations go on there. Again, creating that T-shirt with your unique avatar on there, that your own misfit that you've got on there, that would just blow my mind for an experience. It's just like, because we want people to be able to do what they want with their characters, sort of like how the Bored Apes do. You own your misfit, you own that IP, like in the sense that you can use it for whatever you want. We'll probably have some type of clause in there, like, don't want this ending up on, adult rights, and like, no, we don't want you using it for that type of stuff. But we want you to be able to freely use it however you want. You want to put it on a T-shirt, you want to give it to your mates, you want to sell it, it's your misfit. It's you own that IP of that actual character, and all our characters are going to be unique. Like there's only 800 of each one of these misfits, so it's like that was another thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to create a small collection, but have little micro caps in the collection these 5 characters. And like I think I was like, when I was watching Tom's video, there's like, oh shit, we've got to update a few things, because he's like, oh, there's 30 traits, and I'm like, duh, dude, we've bumped that up to like 200 now. Like I'm creating even more. I want there to be that unique experience. I want everyone to feel like they've got something new, like something that's theirs. It's a one of one. Every single one will be like a one of one. We're gonna have one of ones in the sense that you're going to know that that's a one-on-one.
Right.
Like we want to create that experience and that hype for the community when the reveal happens. But also every single one of these NFTs will be a one-on-one. Like there will be no same combination. It's just too impossible. And like my promise to everyone, and I said it, when we generate them, I'm going to be looking through every single one. And if there's one that even I don't feel that I like, I'll change it. Like I will make sure that it is perfect, because I know there's been a few collections that have been released in the past where that type of auditing didn't happen. And then
clearly did not happen.
Well, what was the thing about the hate? I still don't know, but was that ear thing? Like, was that meant to happen?
I do not know. I can't imagine. I know that the Digimental, the founder artist dude, came out and said that was on purpose. And honestly, Bored Apes has the same thing. I've seen pictures of Bored Apes with them, and I'm just like, look, I don't care if it was on purpose or not. That was stupid. It's ugly as fuck. If I got that and I minted that, I would be actually heartbroken, because it looks like it was rushed. It looked like it was a mistake. You don't want if like, it's almost worse that he said it was not a mistake, because I'm like, wait, so you signed off on that? You said that was cool, and let's give that to people, and I don't know. I couldn't believe it.
That's one type of quality control that that could have actually been controlled and contained. And I think about stuff like that all the time. And these are the things that we learn from other projects, right? Exactly. I'm like, shit, look at that, man. That's they've done that. So how do
let me say this: there's a lot of projects or a lot of founders who think exactly like you, but they're not on camera saying it, so we don't know. We don't know that you're thinking that. We don't know that you're excited about it. We don't know that you're inspired. We don't know that you're thinking about it every day because they're not saying on camera. The difference is you are. That's why
Yeah.
I'm invested. When I was doing your project review, I was sitting there reviewing the project saying, okay, so how do I get in this thing? Because like
Yeah.
when you see a video like that and you see the founder, you can't help, like it's impossible not to get emotionally attached, halfway because other projects aren't doing it, and half because you can just tell authenticity when you can't. And how you just said about the of each piece being a one of one, that's like incredibly important. Because when I bought my Cryptoon Goon, this is the one I bought.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
it's essentially a one of one. It's the only one. There's 3 traits on it that are very specific that I like, and there's the only one in the entire collection that has all 3. And I was like, "What? Oh my god, this is my forever goon." So like when I look at this one, the amount of like just passion I have for it when I see it, like just looking at it, I'm just like, that's my goon. That's like my exact one. That's the one I vibe with,
exactly.
and it's amazing. And that's what people are gonna want when they mint their misfit. If they get 3 mints, for example, and none of them are the ones they want, they're hopping on OpenSea and buying the one that they want. And like that's because you've cultivated that brand.
You know what? That's really funny. We held a Discord. We did a mental health session the other day, and it started off with the mental health, and then we started talking about the project afterwards
Yeah.
because people were asking questions.
Sure.
And one of our early fans that found us like really early on just jumped in. He's like, "Man, guys, he wants to sweep up like 20 from the floor straight away." He's like, "And if I don't get the one I want, you can bet your fucking ass I'm gonna sit there. I'm just gonna keep pumping until I get the one that I actually want." So that hearing that feedback from the audience, man, just really, I was just like, oh man, like I can't tell you as a founder how overwhelming, like we hear these tiny little comments in the thing like, hey, you guys are just doing it right. And for us, we're just like, oh man, that's just so heartfelt. Like we're super humbled by it. It's like, we know we're on the right way. We know we're building the right thing because, you know, this feedback that we're getting and the amount of people that are jumping on board, the amount of people that really like what it is that we're creating, you know, those messages speak in volume, right? And it's starting to grow, and we're starting to get this knock on effect. Like our Twitter engagement has, like, you know, what one of the things that was huge for us is we've got a Twitter with, you know, 1,000 followers, and we've built that entirely organically.
And that makes you feel good too, right? Every time you go in that Twitter, you're like, I earned every single motherfucker in here. I earned their follow. And that's awesome.
And we go to other projects that have 3,000, 5,000 followers, right? We check the amount of engagement that they're getting on a post, and their engagements might be under 10 likes, you know, 9 retweets. I mean, you have a look at the engagement on ours, it's actually real engagement. We're getting double digits on everything. And it's like, wow, these are actually real people. These aren't bots. These aren't like, they've got 5,000 followers, but their Twitter engages like it's 100 followers.
Yeah.
The correlations aren't there. And that's, for us, why it is that we build, you know, organically, slowly, because people start to fuck with you, and then people start to jump on Twitter and they see it and they like, oh, I love a new post from the Misfits. What are they doing now? What type of branding? And if you scroll through our Twitter, everything is on point with branding for us. Like,
it is
super important. Video content, AMAs, sneak peeks, you know, spaces that we're hosting with other people within the Twitter sphere. Like, we just want to be able to connect with other projects as well. You know, we promote other brands, and we want to be able to pick the right brands to be able to, you know, collaborate with as well. So
100%.
These things are super important, and this is a part of any type of project. Like, you can go out there, you can make your 10, 20 X's, but let me tell you, that is so rare to come by. Like, people actually don't realize it, because people are like, oh yeah, I can invest in this. No, man. Try and get on their whitelist, because you're competing with another 30, 40, 50,000 people, and you're not going to get in there. You're just not. Like, did you see Weather Report recently? Have you heard of that project?
Weather Report? I
Yeah, the
probably
weather.
have. I'm really bad with names. If I saw a
Yeah,
picture, I definitely would though.
you're like it's these little guys that have like rain clouds over their heads, and they're like sort of like a thunderstorm might be filling in their head. It's got the one of the Cool Man Weather Report, I think it's called. One of
Mm,
the founders, not a founder, he's one of the mods, I believe, in Cool Cats.
mhm.
Started this project, but now there's like this thing grew like from 0 to 60,000
Yeah.
very quick in a matter of a month. But now
And two
there's so
two thirds
much.
of those are bots. That's
Yeah,
the sad part. They're half of them are about
it
the amount of
is.
founders that I've had a consult call with, and the amount of them that have said, "Man, I wish I had not bought 5,000 followers. I just thought we needed 5,000 to get going." And I was like, that was a mistake. And I know that because, and how you just said, like how we were talking about how we earned those followers. I've been there when I was in like college. I think I was doing fitness. I was like a fitness influencer person, and I had earned many thousands of followers through Instagram, through stupid flexing pictures and dumb quotes and stuff. But I also had bought like 3 or 4 thousand followers, and then I had also gotten 2 or 3 thousand from my girlfriend, who was, the reason I was getting so much engagement for most of the pictures. And when I was at a point where I had thousands of followers, and I was like, man, I didn't even earn most of these. I don't care. And they don't care. They don't care about me, and they don't give a shit. If I don't post a fitness picture, they literally don't care. And I remember that feeling because it stuck with me, because this time when I built my brand, I said, okay, I'm starting a new Instagram page, a new Twitter, a new everything. And I'm going to earn every single one, because when I hit 10K, I have earned all 10, like I've earned all of them. And one thing that rings in my ears is, I don't know if you watch MMA at all. Dustin Poirier is one of the MMA champions. And when he won his interim belt, he was like crying, and he was like, I earned this belt with my blood and my tears. He's like, I earned this. I earned every single day I put in the work. And he was crying on stage. I remember like that hit me so hard. And I said, I'll be able to do that one day. I'll have 100,000 subscribers. I'll get my plaque, and I'll be like, I earned every single one. And that's going to be huge for me and for you.
Absolutely, man. That feeling, that drive of actually building something. I like, and here's a funny story. Misfits actually started with a different Twitter page,
Get out of
and
here. Are you serious?
we had this Twitter page for 1 week,
Yeah.
mind you, and we were in the marketing phase of how do we get the brand out there, and what we didn't realize or anticipate is we thought there was like authentic promoters and people that said, hey, we can help, build your brand and blah 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 with authentic followers. And we fell down the rabbit hole. We did. We paid someone to do a branding bit, and
Mm-hmm.
mind you, we went from zero. I still remember reaching out to a YouTuber. He's like, you got 9 followers. And then the next day it's like, yeah, we got 780 followers. Like it was like overnight.
Wow.
And then I was talking to Tom. I'm like, dude, these people, they're fucked. They're not even fucking real people. They're
Yeah.
just, they're just,
Yep.
it's just metrics, and it's vanity metrics at its best. And I'm like, I can't deal with this. And I said to Tom, I go, delete this. I'm going
Yeah.
to delete the Twitter account. We start again from scratch.
I
And
love
that's
that.
exactly what we did. And we started again, and we started from the very bottom and just built our way up. Like in this month alone, like we've put on 600 followers, and that's me. That's me in spaces every
Yeah.
single day.
Mhm.
That's Tom engaging on the Twitter feeds. That's us engaging in the Discord.
Yep.
It is just this consistent grind. Like it's a grind to build, but it's the most satisfying grind because it's real.
Yes.
You
You have
know
to do
it's
it that
real.
way. Tom Bilyeu, I think is who said it, right? Or some inspirational person on YouTube was like, what if you make it and you fucking cheated? You're not like, if you made it and you really got to the end, you won the Super Bowl, and you
Yeah,
know you did not earn it. They were like, I can't tell you. Like they're like, he basically was like, you will not feel how you think you will feel. He's like, you'll get there and realize that you made a mistake, and you can't go back. He goes, if you go all the way down the road and you started on the wrong note, you will get there and regret every single thing you did, and you won't be able to go back because you've already done, you went too deep. You went too deep. They're like, so start it and do it right. You want to do it right. If you get to the top, you're gonna wish you had done it right. Because if you get to the top and you fucked it up and you cheated your way up there, you might think you feel good, but you're not. You're just not. And so I don't want
it's
that.
just, and that's true. Like a lot of also what I did in lockdown is I read a lot psychology books.
Mhm.
I'm fascinated with the subject, and in
Same.
itself, like it is one of these things that the way that, and that's a lot about how we built our brand, and like
Mhm.
that's a part of connecting characters People
Yeah.
want a story. People want a narrative. People want to feel a part of something. And that's why we gave everyone naming conventions.
Mhm.
We gave relatable personalities and things like that. That was really important for us. But yeah, so I totally forgot what I was going on there.
You were talking about the branding, how it's really important, and you got the names and you're building the brand.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Well,
yeah, like and that and from that psychological perspective
yeah.
is people want to feel a part of something. People want to belong somewhere, and that's
Mhm.
what this Web3 this space is actually doing, right?
Mhm.
It's connecting people. It's making them you know connect people in the metaverse is what we say. I believe it's funny how people talk about the metaverse.
Mm.
It's been around for decades.
Yeah.
Metaverses have been around since Second
We've
Life.
been there. Yeah, we've been there. We're already in there.
Twitter's a metaverse. You
Yeah.
and I are speaking in a metaverse right now. It's just it's a different format of what everyone talks about. What the new metaverse
It's
is.
not fully immersive yet. We're not fully
Yeah,
immersed in it, but basically
yeah,
are. I mean, my Twitter account is my value.
yeah.
That's what my value. I walk down the street, I feel a little bit better because I know my socials are taken care of. You know what I mean? And so it's almost
Absolutely.
weird, but it's just how it
Yeah,
is.
it is like, and that's yeah. It's fun to see all that evolve and see the direction of where people are trying to take it, especially the
Mhm.
NFT space. Whenever like I've got mates like that ask me about NFT. None of my mates are in NFT, by the way.
Yeah.
Everyone just goes, no, I don't even want to look into it. They see the surface level JPEG,
Exactly.
right click save. That's exactly. He goes, oh, why don't I just take a picture of your thing? And then I got it, and I was like, oh man, it's just so much more than that.
Yeah.
But it's like it's funny because I was that guy like
Yep.
12 months ago. I'm
Yeah, me
massive
too.
into crypto since 2016, and when I
I
very first heard about NFTs, I was like, no, this is a fucking joke. Like, you're kidding me, right? And I'm like,
remember Jordan Crypto saying Bored Apes in a multiple YouTube videos. He brought it up, and I remember hearing it, but not really hearing it. I was like, oh, that's that picture thing. I don't have time for that.
yeah,
I remember
yeah.
thinking that, and I'm like, oh no,
Oh,
no,
it makes
dude.
you cry, doesn't it? It makes you
It
cry. It
hurts.
makes
It
you cry that
hurts.
they didn't even sell out. Like it was, they were just sort of dwindling there for
V
ages.
Friends too, bro. V Friends was sitting there on the floor, not even picked up for weeks. They said, and I was just like, where was I? What was I
What was I
doing? You know,
doing?
I have no idea what I was doing. It's
Yeah,
absurd.
that's exactly right. You're just concentrating on so many other things, and it's not
Mm,
until you actually jump in this space and you start to realize the utility of what NFT can be.
yeah,
And that's the best way I explain it to my friends is NFT doesn't know what it is yet.
yeah.
There's 1,000 people trying to pull it in different directions of what
Hmm.
they want NFT to be, but we still haven't worked it out yet. And it's people like us right now, you and I, people that are building projects, people that are
Trying to
doing
build,
things
yeah. Trying
that
to build.
are creating and navigating the space and pointing it into the direction of things that it potentially or possibly can be.
Yeah.
So that is the exciting journey of NFT. And like when you look at investing in an NFT, you need to invest in the people behind the actual project itself. You need to invest in the vision of what it is that they're trying to create, and jump on board at wherever it is that they're going. Like
Yeah.
I'm a long term holder of NFT. I never sell
Same.
NFTs. Like
I've got so many from the summer. I've
yeah,
got so many from the summer. I need to liquidate some of them. I'm going to, but I
yeah,
just like I have so many
yeah,
NFTs and they're just sitting there. I'm like, what are they doing?
yeah.
It's like I still have them, but
What are these projects doing? But yeah, I agree 100%. Like it's for me, I picked very strategically in the NFTs that I went into. Bungie was my first NFT, by the
love
way.
Bougie. Nice. Hell
Oh
yeah.
man,
Love
do you
Bougie.
know that's where I met Tom, who's my co-founder
Oh,
in
okay.
the Bungie
Nice.
Discord.
Get out
So
of here. Are you serious? Wow.
yeah, man.
That's
I
cool.
met him in the main chat when Bungie was maybe less than maybe 15,000 members, and the chat you could actually have a conversation
Yeah.
in. It wasn't flowing like madness. No one knew what it was until it
Hmm.
got to 100K. I was even having chats with Greg Norman. He probably doesn't even remember my name, but I was there every single day. I still, you know what, to this day, I know the leveling and the ranking conventions mean nothing, but I'm still in the top 100 in the Bungie
Wow. No
rankings.
kidding.
So
Shit. That's crazy.
that should tell you how much I actually grinded that project.
Mm-hmm.
But Tom and I actually met in there, and it wasn't until we became friends, added him on the socials, we started talking, like live chats and things like that. And it wasn't until we started talking about what we didn't like about the NFT space, what's wrong with it now, how can we make it better? And then this is where our project just, got its life. And we're just like, we want to build something for the community, like as community members ourselves, we want to build it, we want to do it right. And that's why, the creative process for us is super important, to be able to give people the experience and to give them something that comes after the mint, because the journey only starts after the mint.
100%. I want everything to be done before I mint. When the mint happens, then like the real work begins. But like I want to get my LLC done, taken care of, good to go. Trademark already done, good to go. Lawyer already done, good. Like that stuff needs to be taken care of, because when the mint happens, I want that to be the fun part. I'm like, okay, let's fucking go. Like, let's do some fun stuff here.
Absolutely.
I want to make life fun. Like my access key, my photography sets, my goal for them is to make life fun. I want them to wake up every morning, and if nothing else, they have this to look forward to. They have the brand to be part of the family. If they don't have things going on right at home or something, this is that for them. And what I noticed in the past, because that's always been my brand for my brand since the beginning, but I noticed that only recently in probably the last month and a half, 2 months, did I realize that I had been almost in the NFT space trying to create my own path so much that I was almost like tunnel vision, but shutting off potential relationships. And it was only in like the last month or so or month and a half, when I started to connect with a couple different people who are in this space who also I respected. They respected me, which was new. It's hard to get respect from other people, especially when you're young. And so to feel that and be like, wait a minute, like I can connect with this person and we can both win. I don't have to, just because I'm winning or he's winning doesn't mean they're taking away from my success or I'm taking away from theirs. We can both get to the top because we're working on different shit. Like we're just both in this space together. And I started to, instead of, run away from people, I started to run toward people. And when that happened, bro, life got way more fun. And I like it way more.
Absolutely. And you know what? People ask that question. It's actually really funny. Like, how are you going to be able to execute the project and create your vision? And then that's a really important question. And that's one of those hard lowball questions that, founders probably want to move away from. I see them steer away from it. But the thing is, ask me those hard questions. Why haven't you solidified your artist yet? And to answer a lot of those questions is we're taking it from that actual business approach. But what's actually really amazing is the networking aspect. You see, I've created projects, I've built projects, I've done them on corporate scales within organizations and things like that. So as creators, we become the architects of putting the people together and connecting the dots and getting everyone together in one to help create the vision. So for us, we need to be able to go out and source that. And you need money. That's the reality of it all. Like Tom and I have invested a heavy chunk of our own personal money. Like, we're pretty much the amount of money I could have made from selling and flipping NFTs. I could at least be up over 100,000 by now, because I was the guy telling Tom to buy 10 Cool Man Universes.
Nice.
0.15 ETH.
Let's go. I got in around that time too.
Yeah. I bought one. It's such a dope project. I was on it, even Alien Friends, when it was in 1.6 or 1.8, it was for a little bit there. Even I was sitting there. And if I just bought 10 of each, I would have over $100,000 now in today's time, right? So, and that's only a few months away. But we've just invested everything back into this project. I haven't been buying NFTs, only like 1 or 2 NFTs recently. But for us, we need that. We need the funds to be able to create this project. And we wanted, for us telling that story, it needs to be done in a professional capacity. Now, I can go to Fiverr. I can create someone to draw the comic and the manga, and I can do that for under $1,000. But we've already, shortlisted a few animation like artist studios in Singapore itself, and we're going to do this on a professional level. And to give people the context, it's For us to build a chapter, which is 24 pages, it's about $7,500 USD. And that will be, 24 pages. And we want to create 5 chapters initially and then expand on that with another 5 chapters as we start going along. So we want to contract the first 5 chapters immediately, like after the mint. But before we actually pick the studio or the animators, we need to make sure that our audience vibes with the art on that scale. So
Right.
we're going to get the drafts made up. We're going to have about 3-4 different variations of the characters, because unfortunately there is 800 pieces per character. The character is going to have to go into one model for the actual the story itself. So we want to be able to say, here's Trip, here's Izzy, here's Dex, blah blah blah. These are all the illustrations that we've drawn up. Let's have a vote. Which ones do you want to see being the final illustration that we put into the comic itself? Okay, you like this, and as long as the community and that sentiment is coming from them, that they're happy with the way that the project moves, we move with that with the community itself. So for us, it's about delivering that level of professionalism and doing it on a grade level of scale of production. Like that's what we're trying to create. We don't want it to be like we want to have a permanent artist. We want to have an actual a contract in place with the studio that's creating the actual comic itself. So there is also accountability from that business perspective.
Right.
And yeah, we need to be able to do the funds to be able to do that. And that's why, we've created this NFT, and we're pouring everything into it, because we just hope that it comes off being authentic, and that's what it is. And feedback we get from the community is, yeah, you guys are doing it right. We love that vision. We love that project.
And they trust your vision and judgment. They're like, well, you've been putting in work. You've been transparent with us. We trust you. Like, go do your shit. We know that you have our best interest at heart, and that's the way you should do it. I have the same with mine. Like, I could easily have gone to Fiverr and paid $50 for someone to make a render of one character that I want to use for my lore. I have like my Carrick's character, who's like my elf queen. She does all the spokesperson shit for my for any of the lore stuff, and it looks like a kindergartner drew it. Like, it's decent, but it's enough to get the job done. So I was like, okay, here's what I'm going for. And I was like, hey, I have a friend who's a professional artist. She's a beast. She has her own NFT collection, incredible artist, her own personal brand. And I was like, you make this look good, please, and I'll pay you this much money. We'll do that. We have like some real quality here and some real personality. So I'm like, hey, here's my Karis character, one of the most important characters in the kingdom. And we have this person, Sydney Espo, who's a massive NFT artist right now. She's the artist behind it. We have my best friend's wife. She's the one who created the Joyage Kingdom logo that you see up in the top right corner right here. She's the original creator of this. It means something to me, and it means like every piece means something to me, and it's so much better than hiring some random person on Fiverr. And people can see that. If you talk about that too, they're like, yo, oh my God, like that logo means something, because that's like his best friend, like all this stuff. And it matters, dude. That stuff does matter.
Absolutely. And that's, you know what, I love that about your story and what it is that you're trying to create, especially with the Queen. I love that being the spokesman or the spokesperson of your actual brand.
Yeah.
I actually watched the TikTok video when you're actually doing the animation on and you did it, and I was like, yeah, man, that's fire. Like, and do you know what? It's what really sells, like, because that's I do that, like, for me, networking, selling things is what I do for a living. But what really sells is the actual, the tone of your voice, but the passion behind it all is what you're selling. And like, if it doesn't even become something that you're selling, if you've got passion driving behind it, and there's a whole, people just, they connect with it. They feel that energy. They're like, oh wow, I really actually, really believe that, this person is going to be able to do what it is. And sometimes, I see other projects, and I'm like, I hear the founders, I'm like, man, they just sound inauthentic. And why are people investing? Why are people investing in this? Because it just seems so cash grabby. Like, it's just, it's like, and that's sort of the one thing that I want to help promote outside the NFT space, is to give people the abilities to make better decisions. You're doing that 100 times better. Tom's doing that 100 times better than we're doing it. Like, we're just focusing on the project, but like, that'll be a way for us to give back as a Misfits community when we grow and we start selling the project. You know, for us, it's not even about selling out the project instantly, as much as we would like to, but it's about, getting quality people that want to be a part of that project.
Because it doesn't matter. If you're looking at a 10-year span, 20-year span of a business, the mint day matters not. It makes no difference, you know. And how you're saying back earlier in the podcast about psychology and us studying psychology, humans have an innate gut feeling. When you sense bullshit, we have a bullshit detector. Everyone who has every single human being has a bullshit detector. If you feel that bullshit detector start to fire, it's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. And even if it's not, say you go forward with it. Now you have this deal with this person and you think it's bullshit. The whole time you think it's bullshit and you have this nagging feeling, not good. You know, so just don't listen to those people. When you listen to the best podcast episodes are the ones where both people, you can feel the passion and they're talking. Like, this podcast is baller because we're both firing with all cylinders because we're so pumped about this, you know, just the whole space and everything about it. And I can feel your passion. I'm growing in confidence in your brand as we speak. And you're growing in confidence in your own brand as you speak, because you're speaking that into the universe right now. You're watching are like, holy fuck, you know, like, it's dope. It's dope.
It's so true, man. And you know what? That's why I drink beers in our podcast. I'm like, you know what? I just want people to feel like, hey, man, this guy's human. He's building something, and people connect with real people. I mean, like, you don't want to, like, sometimes the way I refer to it is the politicians of the NFT world, because sometimes it feels like there are these politicians trying to sell you something. It's like they're selling you these, you know, rainbow dreams, and like these rainbow dreams don't even exist. So it's like, for us, it's just like, see the authentic side of it, see the real people. We are real people, massive fans. Grew up in that realm of being a collector, being in that space. Do I know how to execute it? Well, I know how to execute projects. I know how to link and connect people. I know how to network. Networking is the most important thing. Like, we managed to network to you. We managed to network to Tom. We managed to network to massive projects on the Twitter spaces. You know, we've got people that are like evangelizing for our brand when we're not even there. And, you know, there's someone in like Hype Man in our, he'll be in the chat now, he's probably watching, but he joined our project so early on, and we've had many private discussions with him, and he just feels so a part of the community, so a part of the journey, so a part of everything. He's just like, you know, you guys have really opened up, and we've had like some emotional conversations where it's like, these are real, these are authentic, these are raw. And it's sort of like, that's where the podcast births from. Like, is like, we just want raw, unfiltered. And you know what? Like, everything that you hear is just my opinion. And at the end of the day, my opinion can be changed. If you came up to me and said, hey, I heard what you said in your podcast and you said this, but have you thought about it this way? And I'm like, you know what? I haven't. My opinion can be changed. I'm open to that discussion. That's what I love about, you know, those open forums and putting yourself out there and putting your ideas out there. It's just, that's super important, especially when it comes to, you know, building community and building authenticity, especially in this space. Like you said, man, we want to be around for the next decade, right? We've got that long-term vision. For us, you know, we've got that 5-year vision. We got that 10-year vision. Like, ultimately, my dream will be to see this as an animation on Netflix, or you know, take it to Amazon or something like that. And, you know, even if I don't need to use them, I'll fly out to Japan and find a studio that can help just create this, you know, for ourselves. I've even done like the research into how much does it actually cost to create
do that actually.
And there's different tiers and different levels of style that you can get. Like, you can either, you know, have it less not less animated, less detail, less background drops and things like that. And you can get episodes done for like 80,000 USD an episode, or you can go up higher and you can get it up to, you know, $250,000 to 500,000 if we're adding CGI and things like that. And they're the scale levels of something like Attack on Titan or something. So the research that we've done, that we've conducted, we feel that it's all on the right pacing of our project, and that's something that I want to be able to tell our audience. And you can't. It's so hard to do that in writing, or it's so hard to do that. You would know from yourself when you've got a tweet. How are you going to deliver that message and people actually understand it?
It's the narrative. You got to be able to deliver the narrative the way you want it to be perceived, because it's text. It could go wrong. You could send a tweet out with one intention and everybody takes it the wrong way, and you're like, damn it.
That's exactly right. That's why these videos are so important, because if we've laid down the foundations, we've laid down the groundwork, when we make a mistake, and we will, because everyone will make a mistake. No one is perfect. Everyone is going to do something. Your community will be forgiving of that. Because they know you. They're invested in you. They're invested in the project leader. And they're like, hey, man, this guy made a mistake. Like you saw Fishy Friends, right? That their contract got, there was a loophole in the contract and a lot of people got screwed out. And a lot of people, I was in the spaces afterwards, and those guys got torn to shreds.
Because they don't know who they are. They're like, yo, fuck you. I don't know who you are, but fuck you. And if they're not going to say fuck you, Alex, if something goes wrong, they're going to be like, Alex, what happened? And you're going to be like, fuck. This is what happened, basically. And you're going to be okay. Like, I'm already thinking about making a apology video where I'm like, okay, like an apology video for something that hasn't happened. Like, look, at some point I'm going to mess up, and I'm just going to refer you to this video, because I'm not going to apologize later down the line unless I really need to. Like, if there's something that I really messed up. But if it's something stupid, I'm like, look, just go to this video. I'm going to tell you how it is. Like, everyone makes mistakes. This is just how it is. Like, we're not perfect. We're not that experienced. Nobody's experienced in NFT space. Anyone who's ever been in NFT space got in 2021. Anyone who says they've been in NFT since 2017 is horseshit. I bought a CryptoPunk because I believe in NFTs. No. If you bought a picture of a whatever bit head and you had no idea what it was going to turn into, you got lucky. That is what happened.
You were like, yeah, fuck it, I might just buy into this. Like, no one absolutely. This is what I love when it's like, I'm an NFT expert. It's like, fuck, are you really? No one even knows what NFTs like.
We don't know.
Yeah. So how are you an expert in this? Like, we're doing this all together. We're doing this simultaneously. Like, some people are doing it better than others, but it's so much more. And that's what this space is great. This is why I said to myself, like, I can create a project. I can 100% do this. I have the confidence in myself to be able to deliver this project. I mean, Tom, especially, like he's got treasury experience. He's going to manage the money like, bloody like he's just going to manage the money well, and like the way that we're going to utilize it is, and I said this in a recent AMA, is I could have made 10,000 of these NFTs, and I could have bumped up the price to what everyone's charging, 0.075, and we could have made a killing. But we're literally aiming for the mint just to make the bare minimum to get this project, to know how much it's going to cost to be able to actually costing it out, doing the averages. And that means, solicitors, lawyers, registering companies. We've already registered a company, so we've got one in Singapore already. We're already well into those stages. I've got to move to Singapore right after this happens. So currently I'm in Australia, Tom's in Singapore, and we've picked Singapore as being the hub. If anyone doesn't know, the biggest innovation space in the world right now is probably Singapore for crypto. Taxes on crypto in Singapore is 0%. So, that's on gains. If you set up a business like we are, like the transparency is, we're going to take the crypto that we've made and we've got to convert it to fiat because we need money. You can't do it like we unfortunately can't pay these places with, Ethereum. They're not going to accept it yet.
Right.
So we need to be able to convert the money into fiat. We need to put it into a bank account. We've got to show the Singapore government that we have a business model. B, that there's people invested in that business model and it's growing and we can expand it. And then they allow us to actually, get visas into Singapore as entrepreneurial visas, as to say, hey, you're developing for the crypto space. Because they put out a wide message to say we want crypto people in Singapore developing and innovating in that crypto space. And that's, you know, that's important for people to know why it is that we've chosen Singapore, because we get the best tax breaks. We're able to reuse money that we could have, like, we would have been spending on tax elsewhere, but we can use that money instead to reinvest it back into the business itself. And that's what we're doing. Like, that's, you know, for us, and we're doing that with the bare minimum. Like, we don't need to ask for shitloads of money. I don't know why Hype Bears needs fucking $12 million, dude. Like, what the fuck? Like,
I don't know what they're gonna do.
You put into that project, man. Come on.
What's the floor at? 0.2, I think. It's just dropped to half of the floor, or of the mint price.
Imagine, I feel so bad for the people. But who bought in? Like,
No, you fucked up. You should not have. Every single person on earth was saying not to buy that project. Unless you're buying and flipping immediately, everyone said not to do that, and still people fucking did it. Still people are holding the bag who bought it at 2.5 ETH. I'm like, you're an idiot, and you deserve to be slapped in the face with that kind of bag. And you're going to have to sit with that and look at that in your portfolio. And at least I know that you're not going to make that mistake again. At least I hope. Everyone gets to stop. Everyone buys the top and then realizes, oh shit, I messed up. I bought a Space Punk at almost 1 ETH right when they were kind of popping off. And I thought I was going to find a gem. And, you know, maybe I could have sold early, but I was like, no, this is going to go to the moon forever. It's never going to come back down. And now it's at a 0.1 floor. And I'm like, damn, I held that bag. But now I learned from that. I'm going to move on and grow from that. So.
Absolutely, and that's definitely a learning experience to have. Tom's got the same thing. He bought Metaverse of the Guardians.
Oh man!
And that was like, he was like, that was his first project that he got into, and it was like, it's going to pump. And we were both looking at the floor yesterday. He's like, oh man, it's just, and it's just like, oh man, I don't know. Yeah. It's like. But you need to go through that experience. You need to have that. You need to live it, and you need to be able to create that awareness for you. And like that all comes into play. If you bought into Hype Bears, fuck, that's an expensive lesson to learn.
Yeah, that's an expensive. That's very expensive.
We're talking a lot of money, man, when it comes to that stuff, and it's amazing that people keep falling for it. It's like you looked at the roadmap. That's why when I hope that what people learn from that experience is start looking at projects that have actually got a vision, that actually want to create something, that actually have the founders out there that are doxed, that are in your face, that are talking about it, that are evangelizing it, and actually wanting to do something and believe in all the right things. Because, you know, these little short-term pumps that people need to realize, they're not going to last. These investments, and Greg touched on this in your video, like, people look at investments and they don't expect returns for like 5 years.
Exactly.
So, you know, investing isn't like this. And guys, this is going to be the real world. Let me tell you, when it comes to real investing, like this is a pocket that we're in, and it's not going to last forever. Like, these prices will not sustain. When more people come in, more people are going to demand these prices go down, because you know what's going to happen. Another project's going to go, oh, I'm going to cut the other project by half, or why do I want to be a part of this exclusive project? You know, it's impossible to buy in. Like, I think Bored Apes might actually hold that community. They probably will, but you
gotta have some kind of value. Like, if you're not providing some kind of reason to hold that project when they're at a 10 ETH floor, why are people not selling Doodles? There has to be a reason not to sell. At a certain point, if Doodles doesn't step it up from where they're at now, which, I mean, they're doing well now, but like, every project has to upgrade and progress. At some point, people are gonna be like, okay, I got 10 ETH project right here. Like, I could use this 60 grand or whatever that ends up, like, however much money that is. And you got to be able to deliver that value, whatever that is. Like, if it's a streetwear brand, you got to build that name. If you're not the streetwear brand, you're gone. Sorry. Like, you're gone.
I wonder, I truly wonder that. Where are these brands going afterwards? Like, okay, it's cool. Cool Cats has the vision. They want to be the Hello Kitty of the Western world. But I sort of wonder, like, where do the doodles go after this? I mean, how many people can wear that on their t-shirt and say, it's a doodle? Like, it's cool, but like, where, like, if they don't get the branding right, where does it go afterwards? And that's super important for people to realize, because you know what? We've seen fads. We've seen songs like Gangnam Style get to 1 billion views on YouTube. We saw that being the one thing that was massive. But you know what? What happened to that dude? Where is he now? He made a one-hit wonder and he's gone. Like, that
he probably bought an island.
Yeah, probably bought an island somewhere. And that's so those fads, they come and go. And there's so many projects in this space all fighting for that position of like that Bored Ape position, or they're fighting for that Cool Cats position or the Doodles position. But how many of them are actually going to last? And how many people?
It's not going to be many. It's not going to be many. It's not going to be
many. Gary says it how many times, right? He says,
I think people don't want to believe it, but it also depends what you define as surviving. Like, it depends if you're trying to nail the Bored Ape Yacht Club, if you're trying to find that project, or if you're trying to find a project like, look, I'm okay with them not being the top 5 project. Like, I'm okay with just them being an average size business. Like, I'm okay with investing in fucking Barnes and Noble. Like, I'm okay that I didn't invest in Amazon, but I have a Barnes and Noble, like the equivalent of a Barnes and Noble, which is like a normal mid-level business, whatever. Like, it's cool. It's not the best. It's not the worst. It's just average, whatever. And there's a lot of projects that are going to be that. And it's, there'll be people in those projects, and then there'll be people in the biggest projects who invested in the biggest companies at the beginning. But if you're not in one of those, dude, the rest are going to zero, because it's going to be a soft rug. They're going to just kind of slowly fade out. They're just going to slowly just not really interact as much. And then one day you're going to be like, what the hell happened to that project? Where'd it go? And it's just gone from oblivion. They took all the money, they liquidated everything, and they're probably in prison in 20 years.
That's exactly right. Did you see CoffeeZilla broke down the Squiggles video?
I have not seen that video, but I heard some bad stuff about Squiggles.
Cool, dude, you got to watch it, man. He broke down like these guys that literally are rug jumpers.
I've heard that. That's not good.
You know what? I promise you, in 2 years' time, it's going to be like one of those documentaries, like, when NFT 2 years ago was founded, and it's going to have like this guy like over talking, the whole thing about how these guys went from like, starting this one little project to making over $200 million in NFT scams, and it's like, that's what people need to be aware of in this space. Like, there is a negative connotation to it, but there's also a lot of positive that's going to come out of this.
100%.
Like, that's where you and I want to be sitting on the right side of the fence for.
Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, like, I mean, as we bring this podcast to a close, I want to end it with the Misfits bit at the end. Like, one of the things I noticed when I was reviewing the project is I got the sense that you probably were a collector. I'm a collector too. I look at the NFT space in a certain way because of that collector mentality versus a flipping mentality. Same with my best friend Devin. He's in NFTs, but he's purely coming from an art. He's like, yeah, if it goes up in value, dope. He goes, but I don't care. I don't really need the money. It's fine. And when you come in and you're looking to do a project too, if you're able to look at it and remember what it's like to be like a degen, and be like, okay, what did I want when I was a degen from the project that I really wish had done something? And then the same thing when you're like, what's his name, Khabib, MMA legend. He's starting his own MMA or his own version of the UFC in Russia or whatever. And he's like, look, I'm gonna do this right. He goes, I was a fighter. He goes, I know exactly what I wanted. I know exactly what needed to happen, and I'm just gonna do it all. He goes, that's what I'm gonna do, and that's why we're gonna be successful. And I saw the same shit with your project. I was like, this is a dude who fucking loves manga, anime, and games, and the fucking nerdy comic shit. This is gonna be dope because this is what he wants to do. And it's gonna be dope.
Exactly. And actually, speaking about Mecca, have you gone back and visited Meccaverse? Because this is some alpha mode.
I haven't looked too much into it. I always said if Mecca wanted to do something, they could. I didn't know if they were going to. I just thought they could.
Go back, because I'm so bullish on them. I love it. Yeah, dude. They're creating. See, imagine giving a company lots of money, but they're creating something called the drivers. So their next NFT is actually going to be the drivers of the Mecca. Which are 3D animated. They've got so much more money to be able to deliver the project. Like, I'm not in on it. That's just, do your own research into that project. But these guys, they did a live AMA recently, and it was just like, I listened to it, I'm like, yeah, actually, I think these guys copped a lot of flack at the beginning, rightfully so.
Of course,
but I also think as a project builder, I know what it's like to do things on a budget.
Yeah.
And
well, they had too much hype. They were screwed no matter what. Same with Hate Beast. Same with Hype Bears. They were all screwed no matter what. You can't have that much hype.
Anyone with that much hype gets screwed. Everyone with that.
And they did it wrong. I mean, Mechaverse shouldn't have done it that way. But also, they were the first. They were the very first project to have that much hype. What did you fucking expect? Like, they didn't know what they were doing. We didn't know what to expect. We were all shocked that we couldn't believe that the floor. It was a joke, but we were all like, "How the hell did that happen?" And then we were like, "Oh, it's because of this." And then we started to be able to like see that trend and see and be able to pick it out. And some of us haven't picked that up because they've still minted the same projects and fallen into the same mistakes. But
exactly. Do we not think that with Invisible Friends? Is that the same?
That'll be a very interesting project because that'll be probably the number one most hyped project. We've seen it fail 4 times in a row now, and I'm like, what is Invisible Friends doing different? They've got a different kind of art, but that's about it. I mean, that's about it. I mean, if I was someone who I would need to know more about the project as far as their branding, but from what I've seen, it's not anything unbelievably spectacularly different. And so with if I had a whitelist for Invisible Friends, what my personal move would be, because I would be looking to stack ETH instead or be looking to get into projects that I think could help my brand, I would liquidate somewhere in the pre-reveal at some point. I'd look to see where the resistance is, where the support line is, and try and pick a number in between, get out, Absolutely. And then use that profit and put it somewhere where it's better. Like if you like Invisible Friends because you truly like the art, you truly don't care, of course hold it. If you believe in the brand, hold it. But if it's not something like that, I don't see anything other than a massive floor decline. I mean, Azuki pulled off the impossible. I don't know how Azuki did it. They're still holding strong, but
Asian market. I think Azuki's much of a Asian market.
True.
And actually, one of the things that I got in one of our AMAs is one of the girls that was hosting it looked at it and she goes, "Oh, I get Azuki vibes from your Misfits," and I'm like, "Oh God, yeah." I was like, "Oh, that's great feedback. I actually love it." And you know what, guys, when you see version 2.0 that we want to showcase this week, you'll see a bit of an upgrade to the art. Want to get everyone's feedback on it, but we want people to hold it a misfit and know, like, I want you to know just, oh, that's a misfit. I already know it. Like I can see it in their profile picture because they're doing something different. And I hope that really conveys. I'd love to get your feedback as well, dude. I'll probably send you some sneak peeks before they come through. So I'd love to get some feedback from you as well.
Oh yeah, dude. Do you want to have any last thoughts, any last messages, or something about the project, about you, or any last words? Or
yeah, absolutely. You know, we're here. We want to build a long-term brand. That's our main focus. We want to draw out a story that everyone can be a part of. You know, come and join our community. We've opened up our Discord on Twitter. We will probably lock it again. But you know, as a collector, I'm doing giveaways. We got Pokemon card giveaways, as you know, Cade. You know,
I entered one, I think.
Yeah, one of our winners actually lives not even down the road from me, and I'm like,
oh wow.
I'll probably come and hand deliver it to him.
Hell
so
yeah.
if he doesn't feel awkward about it, I'll be happy to go hand deliver it to him, man. Like, I mean, I'd love to go meet the community. So, I mean, yeah, come join our community. It'll, we're a project that's trying to do it differently, and we want to do it right, and we want to build branding. So, really important pieces to what we're trying to achieve. So.
Oh yeah, man. Oh, that was a great podcast. I had a blast. It was super fun. We chopped it up. That was just a free flowing conversation. Like I don't even think I don't even think I asked the question the whole time. I think we just talked the whole time. So that was dope. I'd love to come on your pod at some point. So
absolutely, man. Thank you very much. And thank you for having us. Let's 100%. Let's lock it in. Let's do it again. Anyone just support Kay, man. He's one of the NFT YouTubers that is doing it right. And absolutely love it, man. Thanks. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, man. Everyone, thank you for being. If you're still in here right now, if you're watching this live, especially, thank you so much for being in here. There's still like 8 or 10 or 12 of you. If you haven't liked the video already, please go ahead and do that. I really appreciate it. It helps the channel out so much. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Twitter. I have our Twitters right here. K Bergman, Lally, blah, X or something like that. And it's also linked in the description. You can just click the link actually. But yeah, we appreciate all you guys being in here. Until next time. Code word is going to be MAGME.
Magni, yeah.
If you made it to the end of this video, comment MAGME, and we'll know that you were here, and I really appreciate that. So guys, until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn,